Hey, welcome into this special edition of the GASO Cast. This is a TABC Primer. Me, Blue, Mike, Lyndon. It's going to be loaded. It's going to be a long event. We are so excited to bring you coverage of this incredible event. But before we get started, I do want to give out some house cleaning. The GASO Fast Break will be free on Thursday. You've got to be a subscriber, though. We're doing a giant TABC Primer. Lyndon is spearheading that. It's going to be very, very well done. We're all going to kind of chip in, but we're very, very excited. Rankings, commentary, analysis. Make sure you are tapped in. It's going to be free Thursday. Friday, we'll drop our usual edition, and that will be a recap on Round Rock. Recruiting Simplified newsletter drops tomorrow. Every Wednesday, 9 a.m. for free. If you're not on that, you're getting behind, especially when TABC is coming up. A couple hoops. Me and Blue just knocked that out. We did live. You can find that on Twitter or YouTube. We talked recruiting for TABC, and we talked some Round Rock. And we're here now. So, Michael, I'm going to pass it to you to kind of talk about what you are doing for the TABC event. Then we're going to pass it to Blue, and then I'll hop in there, and we'll jump into a lot of player content.
Yeah, so I'm doing Tech Soups TV will be providing highlights at all sites. So if you want to book, do that by tomorrow night. DM me right now as you're watching this. But the benefit of booking with us is that our entire staff sees the highlights. Our videographers, come back to us with a lot of feedback about what's what. So your highlights stretch a further amount of ways by booking with us. So high level video in a really important weekend. So get with me on that by tomorrow night.
Blue, what does the TABC Showcase mean to the state?
Man, well, this one's a little bit special for me, and I told you I wasn't going to just write it up there because I got some help from one of the founding fathers of TABC, and that was Mike Kunstadt, the creator of Great American Shootout. He was one of the founding fathers of the TABC, and I went and I asked him, what was it that their vision was 48 years ago when they sat down? It was Larry Brown, Tommy Newman, Mike Smith, Mike Kunstadt, and Mike thought maybe that there was one more person available. So he said that they were trying to tie in the TABC and the UIL together and form a basketball-only association. Football had theirs. Basketball needed one for themselves. And I bring this up because Mike Kunstadt didn't know this when he and his other coaching buddies of Tommy Newman and Larry Brown and Mike Smith, they did not know that here we are 40 plus years later, that we're going to conduct the biggest event in the country. And that it's unique because they did marry TABC, UIL together, and this is the product that the UIL gave to the TABC, and it just continues to grow. 495 teams. It is said to be the best event in the country. The college coaches I have heard have asked for multiple weeks, but you know what I've also heard is that the college coaches would be in town 2 weekends in a row and maybe not go to the other cities. This means a lot. And there's a lot to probably unravel here, but that's just part of the, that question. I went to probably a little bit step further just because, Mike Kunz is a TABC Hall of Famer. He is a TABC Life member. And this is not what the vision for all of this was probably not on the table at that time, but wow, it has stand nearly 50 years, and look what it has done for us, the media, the fans, the parents, the high school coaches. So
well said. Well said. I want to kind of delve into what GASO is doing for you, the player, and for the college coaches. We've updated our scouting service. My gosh, players moving, like making sure that we're on that stuff to provide that information to college coaches. Make sure you're tagging us so we don't miss anything. We created a schedule model that customizes every player in every game and every prospect that we have in our scouting service for the college coaches. So we can literally base it on, hey, a college coach says, I'm going to be there on Friday, Saturday only, and I'm going to be hanging out at Hebron. And I can bang, 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 put it in and give them all the players that are going to be there that they're going to see. It's really, really cool. So college coaches, if you're watching, trying to get a little tip on players, I can help you out with that. We also came up with the GASO 100. 5 people on our staff, me, Mike, Lyndon, Blue, and Tim, created a 20-person each document called the GASO 100. And it's just players that we are super, super excited for and are putting into a PDF to send to college coaches. And then we'll be advocating for you all week of the event. Behind the scenes, the amount of phone calls that we are all getting, it's a really fun time of year, getting asked about players. And so, yeah, that's how we are going to be advocating for you this week, and we will continue to do so. All right, let's jump into TABC and the players. But first, we're going to start it off by giving a TABC tip. So, Lyndon, what is your tip for players headed into the TABC for recruitment?
Yeah, basically that, first and foremost, this is something, and Blue kind of touched on this earlier. Not every kid in the nation has a chance to play at this event. It's just for Texas kids. 495 teams, there is going to be representation from just about every college level, everywhere across the country. And this is the event of the weekend. There's not going to be very many eyes elsewhere that are not focused on TABC and the players there. So with that being said, take advantage of this. Don't let your, if there's something going on outside basketball, this has got to be laser focused. You've got to be locked in this weekend, because it's about as important as a recruiting weekend gets. I mean, for the grassroots game in Texas especially.
Awesome. Mike?
Yeah, this one's for the parents. This isn't your weekend, parents. As a 33-year-old, I feel a little bit easier to say that. I'm not a little kid anymore, so I can talk to y'all straight up. You're being recruited too. With all the college coaches in the building, if you start acting a fool, like they see that, and we're all human, that's going to be a turnoff. It don't matter how many threes your kid hits. That's going to be in the back of their mind as they go through this recruiting process. We've talked about with COVID, everything's still, behind a little bit. So the recruiting process might start at TABC for your player. Don't give them any reasons to be like, oh, I wonder if the parent's going to be a problem. Support your kids, have a good time, and just give your child the spotlight this weekend.
Blue?
This is my basically weekly reminder to just play, right? I mean, this is where everything that you are, it's like what Mass talks about. When you do your highlights, show what you can do on the court. In this setting, if you just go play, everything's going to handle itself, because the high school coaches, your high school coach is on the sideline with you. You're going to be running sets. He knows how to put everybody into position to make them successful. Don't try something out of the ordinary. This is not the time to experiment. This is a time to go out there and play basketball, and everything will shine through. This is a big part of the recruiting process. One, because this is when you're starting to get that interest in that recruitment from the college coaches. Two, they get to see you in the organized field of being on the basketball court with your high school coach on the sideline. This is where the relationship starts building. And I think that there's so much uniqueness to this being in June, that you have the high school coach. So just go play. You will be successful if you play hard and you're doing the things that are asked to do of you on the basketball court.
Most of my tips come from off the court, recruiting, reaching out, all that type of stuff. But I'm going to give an on the court tip here. Everybody loves a rebounder. Period. End of story. Doesn't matter what position you are. If you can rebound, you're going to catch eyes. And if you can't rebound, it's going to stand out like a sore thumb. So just go rebound. That's a good one. It kind of coincides with playing hard. So those are a couple things that I think need to be on the top of mind for players. Don't get yourself out of the recruiting race before it even begins. And if you don't play hard, that's kind of a prerequisite. Moving on, the Breakfast Club, one game to get here or to get to early. Linda, I'm going to pass this to you.
Yeah, seen a lot of Burleson Centennial's Jared Cox on the GASO circuits this year, and man, like that's a kid who is recruitable. He's a big who can shoot it and stretch the floor, put it on the floor a little bit. The combination of him and Keelan Jones is one to watch. And then one to put in the 2027 file. I know it's not anything that's going to be immediate, but Chase Richardson of Friendswood, I mean, this kid is about as fun as it gets to evaluate from my perspective because he's everywhere. Everything's full speed, and there's a lot of talent on this Friendswood team. So I'll be there Saturday morning early at 8 a.m. to go and get my eyes on this one.
Mike?
That's fun. Linda, you just put yourself in a real big commitment there.
Yeah, 8 a.m.
That's great.
Hey, that's where I saw Dawson Batee first.
8 a.m.
That's where I saw Dawson Batee first last year. I was alone, sitting up, watching Plano West, and I was like, who is this cat? You get a lot done at 8 a.m. when no one else is there.
An 8 a.m. game for me with no commitment of me being there for multiple reasons that we'll talk about. Colleyville Heritage versus Silsbee. Why not watch one of the state's top 2027s, Peyton Jones, versus a Colleyville Heritage team where at 8 a.m. you need shots to go in to really start waking you up, and Cash Gardner provides that. I think there was going to be a lot of fireworks early on in this game. And as I was scrolling through, like this one just caught my attention very early. 8 a.m. SWAC Court 5 on Saturday. Be there. Lyndon will be in the gym, obviously, at 8 a.m. So go say what's up to him as well.
Okay, I'll go. Michael said I cheated because it's an 11:15 game, but we'll just call it brunch. Okay, I'll come strolling in a little late. Austin Gooseby, Lyris Robinson. That's Melissa versus Bridgeland. Two of the top 2026s in the state, and I think a pretty under-recruited is not the right word, just kind of an under-the-radar top 2026s in the state, and they're going to do battle, go at it. Trey Busby's a kid from Bridgeland who's really good. Jackson Vicknair can shoot it from Melissa. I'm just looking forward to that game. I think it's an underrated game, and I think you're going to see some star power semi-early. Just go get some Eggs Benedict and watch that one. Blue?
Well, as Blue's typing this, you cheated, Mass, but Blue, looking at our rundown, had a 3:45 game. I was like, what type of breakfast time are you doing over there, big dog?
Well, I'm just, my kids are going out of town. My wife is, and so I'm just going to sleep in, catch up with some sleep. But no, I can explain it to you. Hey, y'all. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Here, 9:05 a.m. On Saturday, Birdville and Katie Jordan. Goodness, think of all the prospects that are on this court right here. You
That's
go
a good
sit
one.
on SWAT court 5 top there, look down over the courts, and you're going to see Trent Bowers, Sawyer Dotson, DJ Driver. I mean, Avery Webb. There's just a lot of guys right there on the Birdville, and then you switch on over, and I'm looking at some of my notes here right now, because then you switch on over to Katie Jordan, Elijah Black, Ryan Fedeka, Jaden Holt. Goodness, these are also teams that can also make deep runs into the playoffs. You know how much I love the aspect of team play this time of the year in June. So I'm excited that these two are going to square off, and these are two really good coaches that are going to be prepared going into a June 22nd game.
Love it. Midday pick-me-up. What's a game? You kind of hit that wall. You just had your lunch. You're a little tired. Need coffee to settle back in. Mike, I liked this category, so I'm going to let you tip it off.
Yeah, my game's at 2:30, and we all know what that 2:30 feeling is like. So you're gonna need something. Lunch was a little bit ago. You're feeling like it was hours ago. You're like, man, it's a long day. I've already seen a lot of basketball. So let's take you to Hebron Court 1, Saturday. Beaumont Westbrook versus Round Rock Stony Point. Sure, Ashton Simmons, Josiah Mosley aren't walking through that door this year. But Elijah Garrett, Uzi Button, and Landon Short are. So when you're looking for guards that can really go, look no further than this game at Hebron Court 1 at 2:30. It's going to be electric, and it's going to provide you that pick-me-up that no 5-hour energy possibly could. So Hebron Court 1 is going to be the place to be at 2:30.
Lyndon?
Yeah, and Blue will touch on one of these games, but the 3:20 slate at SWAC on Friday is insane. There are 16 teams there that all have recruitable prospects. If you're a college coach who can't find a prospect at 3:20 on Friday, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe try to start selling insurance.
You're probably sleeping.
But the game that I'm going to focus on, Allen and Faith Family. I mean, this is recruitability. Master, we have like 13 kids in the scouting service over this. Like,
I think it's 15, but yeah, I mean, it's a lot. A lot.
It's amazing. I mean, there's a player at every single level on this court. 2 of our top 5 in the 2026 class are going to be there for Faith Family. Allen has cats up and down the rankings all over the place in 25.
They could have 2 teams compete.
This is the game on Friday.
Love it.
Give these guys any ideas.
Blue, because you're just continue it.
Yeah, 3:20 SWAC Court 5.
Before you go, Blue. Before you go. This was Blue's Breakfast Club game by the way. 3:20.
It would have woken me up though. In his defense,
you would totally understand why I put it as my Breakfast Club, just because you need to be ready. You need to be able to see every angle and all these prospects. Because if you come to this one game, you might just be done for the weekend. Then, because you ready for this? Beckham Black, B.J. Davis-Ray, Caden Edwards, Chris Hunt, Cameron Smith, Joseph Brooks, Tyrus Rathane Mays, Scott Guillory, Mohamed Nadeau, Johan Gutierrez, DJ Leatherman, Trey Pinker. I mean, why go anywhere else?
Yeah. To a bunch of stars. Just that game's going to be electric. No, I think that's all you had to say. Just the names. It's good stuff. I'll go.
Now I'm going to go back to sleep.
I'm going to go 4:40 on Saturday. John Jay versus Lufkin. And if you know me, I'm an early riser. My wall hits hard in the afternoon. I usually do a light lunch, to stay fresh. But my eyes start getting heavy. And every Saturday around 4 o'clock, Blue walks up to me and goes, "Are you tired? Your eyes look heavy." And I am, But I'm gonna tune back in for this one because one of my favorite backcourts in the state, Cameron Garza and Jarius Jackson, will be playing one of the best shooters in the state, which is my favorite attribute about a player. It has the recipes to wake me back up, make me feel fresh, and that's Austin Brown if I didn't mention him. But that'll be really fun. Lufkin versus San Antonio, John Jay, 4:40, SWAC 2 on Saturday. See you there. We can talk, hang out. Let's move to the nightcaps because those are the ones that, around 9 p.m. I'm getting a little tired. So I chose a 9 p.m. game, and we'll get to that in a second. But, Lyndon, why don't you go first?
Yeah, the opening night on Friday, I'm going to be looking at Wolford Friendship against Coppell. Really excited to see that matchup. Cebu Sox is having a strong start to his summer. Excited to get my eyes on him again after seeing him at Drive Nation. And then, you can't – Friendship is one of the perennial contenders out west, and they're bringing Chase Campbell. They've got some bigs to go with them. I'm excited to see what they can bring to the table in an 8:45 matchup out there at SWAC. Mike?
Yeah, for me, Friday is the first night, so ain't no reason for you to be like, you still got your energy, hopefully, after our pick-me-up games Friday. 8:45 SWAC 1, El Paso Chapin versus W.T. White. Let's just put it in perspective here. Jaden Leverett is 6'10". He's number 12 in the GASO 2025 rankings. J.D. Oemeka is 6'10", and number 14 in our 2026 rankings. You should probably be there. When you're talking about probably the best head-to-head big man matchup that's on the schedule here, 8:45, you're going to go get you a high-level big if you're a college coach. So no need to be like, hey, we're in town, let's go get an early dinner. No. Get a late night dinner because you need to be at this 8:45 game Friday night.
Love it. Blue?
7:55 SWAC Court 5, RWG STEM, Fort Bend, Ridgepoint, Dorian Hayes, so much has been said about him and the way he has elevated his game. And then he's going to have to stare down Bryson Melvin of RWG STEM. I mean, these two guys are going to be heavily recruited. These two are going to go back and forth because, I mean, Bryson is one of the just most versatile guys there is in the entire class. And then you look at Dorian and his way that he can string along bucket after bucket. I mean, he's going to have to be stopped, and it should be a fun game of back and forth here as two stars are emerging.
Yeah, Dorian too, just one of the hottest prospects right now in Texas. I've gotten a lot of questions about him lately. I'm going to go with Amarillo versus Fort Bend Marshall. If anybody knows anything about me, I have a coaching background, so I am a little bit of a nerd when it comes to this stuff. But I love the clashing of styles here. Amarillo has this like steady, tedious execution mindset, and Fort Bend Marshall gets up and down. They play with pace and tempo and speed. And then you got two really, really good prospects that I think have kind of flown under the radar for a little while. Zach Brown of Amarillo and Ian Lowe of Fort Bend Marshall, with a myriad of other prospects to go with them. But those two kind of spearhead the case in that game. So stay up. That'll be a fun game, and if you're a purist, you'll like the clashing of styles, and it should be a fun one. This next segment is a really fun one. We see it every year. There's just breakouts everywhere where, you see on Twitter this kid, it's like offer after offer after offer after offer, and it's just really cool to see. And instead of like calling those breakout, who kind of has a recipe to make a breakout, maybe relatively unknown or maybe going to take another step in a level. Lyndon, I'm gonna tip it, or you're gonna tip this one off for us.
Yeah, and I had the blessing of just seeing this kid over the weekend, and that's Lamarius White with Pflugerville Vice. Because when you're a big who can win every rebound and then step out and shoot it and put it on the floor and make plays in the open court, I mean, that is how to be recruited 101. So I think he is due for a breakout. Weiss has a very fun team, but this is the guy that college coaches need to have circled going into this matchup that they're going to have, these 3 games that they're going to play.
Mike?
Yeah, for me, mine's not necessarily a player breakout, but TABC is almost like the beginning of the next high school season. Storylines are going to be creative, narratives are going to start. And I'm looking down in San Antonio John Jay. They have a recipe to leave TABC as a real player in the Region 4-5A space with a lot of talent down there. But you mentioned earlier Cameron Garza, Jarius Jackson, Jaden Guillen, Eric Robles, Elijah Hubbard. They have a lot to like. We've seen plenty of these guys throughout the GASO season this year. And when it's all said and done, I think that people are going to be like, oh, John Jay is the real deal, and they are going to be one to watch down in that Region 4 area. So they have the recipe. They've all been playing some of the hottest basketball across the state of Texas right now individually for their grassroots teams. And I think when you put them all on the floor together, they're going to really turn some heads.
Blue?
So Laris Robinson, you were the one that turned me on to him to go watch him mass. And you're talking about somebody that can come off the dribble with some smoothness to get to open areas, and he can just see the floor. He's creative. He creates for himself and others the spaces that he does to get a shot off. He's just doing it with ease at all levels. I think you and I have also dived into some of his synergy stuff, and besides him playing at the GASO, we dove in there and just watching him a little bit more and closely and being able to slow down the tape a little bit. He has shown a lot of just like great ability to play both ends and do multiple things on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, he's a shot clock player. Like when the shot clock gets down, you can go give it to him, and you're going to get a quality look off. I love players like that. So talented. I'm going to go with Kensington Candler. I've been beating that drum for a minute. Little Elm. He's relatively unknown point guard. He can beat you in a ton of ways. He can score. He can pass. He's got a little pop. And I think this Little Elm group is a sneaky dark horse to just make a lot of noise this season. They've stuck together. There were a lot of sophomores that played and that are really successful last year, and I just think they're a team that's going to be a force to be reckoned with down this season, and especially if they stick together. But in particular, Kensington Candler is a really, really fun guard and a really, really high-level playmaker at the point guard position. Speaking of playmakers, we're going to go with popcorn playmakers, and these are just guys that are exciting watches that college coaches just need to get their eyes on. So, Lyndon, who is that for you?
Yeah, I'm going with Javen Colbert from
Yep.
Decatur, and I don't think it's any stretch to call this kid popcorn, because when you average 30 plus in the 4A playoffs, like, that kind of earns you that moniker. He's somebody who's going to have the ball in his hands. The schedule makers at TABC gave Decatur some heat this go round, so I'm excited to see what he can do against some bigger school competition.
It's a good one. Mike?
Yeah, for me, that Green Hill backcourt, Dylan Watt, Jackson Thompson. Mass, you and I were at that game versus St. Mark's. This is just anytime they step on the court is just a can't miss situation when you're looking for a popcorn game. Dynamic. They both do similar but very different things at the same time. But two prospects that are going to thrive anytime they're on the court, and I expect really big performances out of that backcourt.
Yeah, I have that game, the Green Hill versus Birdville game, circled. That's going to be a really fun one. A lot of prospects on that one. Blue, who is it for you, man?
You know, I'm a popcorn guy. I have a popcorn maker in my living room, and right here, it's Evan Herrera. I'm going a little bit off the beaten path here. He should be a non-division a non-division one coach's dream here. A guy that can stop and pop and make some buckets. I mean, he's going to go fly by you in the open court to get things going in the half court, or push it all the way to the basket, distribute the ball, and he's going. He's just exactly what San Antonio O'Connor loves to see in their players. A guy that's going to think through, strategize, make the right plays, and he's just been fun to watch. I mean, I've been raving about him for many weeks, and it made me feel good the other day when you're sitting there going, man, Evan Herrera, he just really does a lot of good things on the court, and that's what we've all been.
And we're back. Michael?
Yeah, Blue mentioned something there for Evan Herrera out of San Antonio O'Connor. The non-D1 coaches need to be on him. And honestly, what you'll see all weekend with GASO is that you'll see Mass with a Power 5 coach. You'll see Blue with a D3, Lyndon with an NAI D2. Like, we cover the whole state, and as much as it's fun to see these matchups and things like that, we're there to work also. So we're not there. Obviously, there's some really high-level games that we're going to want to watch, but this is a great weekend for us as evaluators and advocators to sit down with coaches. And I know Mass and Blue and Lyndon for sure, like, get really excited when a college coach of every level comes up and says, so what do you have for me? Whether it's a D3, a Power 5, and get a chance to sit with these coaches and really give them some players to look at. So good point there. Like, a guy like Evan Herrera from San Antonio O'Connor needs to be on recruiting radars, and that goes for like a lot of these kids out here this weekend. You know, we'll be talking to coaches the whole time on every level of prospects. So the advocating is going to be so fun for us.
Yeah, well said. Before my internet crashed, it was my turn to talk about the popcorn playmakers. And I'm just going to go with the Shannon twins of Allen. Antoine and Antonio, they've been a couple of my favorite players to watch this grassroots season. I'm super excited to watch them compete on this insane stage that they're going to have, and I think college coaches are going to fall in love with their nastiness. I think both of those guys are going to come out with serious momentum just because of their skill set, their size, and just how much they play with an edge. Love those guys, pulling for those guys, and, you know, rightfully so. That Allen group is deep and loaded, and that stage is going to be wild. So let's hop into our rapid fire. And this is where we just kind of, Michael said, scroll through the schedule. When you stop, pick a guy that you like from who's on your screen, whoever you want to advocate for. I loved this idea.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It was one of those things with the newsletter and this process of doing all the podcasts, I just told y'all, listen, just scroll through the schedule. And if anything pops in your mind when you see a team name or whatever, just put it on here. So that's what we'll do. And I'll start off. Aiden Daisu. We talked about Recipe. Like, he could be the one that we leave here, like, that is the biggest stock riser in the whole dang event. Just from what we saw this past weekend at GASO in Round Rock, he has the makings to really explode.
Love it. Lyndon?
Yeah, it'd be a crime if we didn't talk about a San Antonio Brennan kid on this So the one that's been blowing up the most recently, Donovan Chris. as somebody who is just a complete, 3-and-D kind of wing, stretches the floor, can make plays with the ball in his hands. Um, they've got a lot of talent, and there's going to be a lot of eyes on them, and rightfully so. But I think Donovan Chris can be one of those guys that boosts his stock even more after this weekend.
Really good name. I'll hop in here. Trey Lewis, Conroe Grand Oaks. I'm a big fan of this kid. He has big-time athleticism, can knock down shots in bunches. Blue?
Here, Prince Jones Bynum, Katie Cinco Ranch, point guard, just gets us a ton of things done, can see the floor, get the ball into the right hands. He'll do some scoring. Neil King, the head coach there at Katie Cinco Ranch, he's got to see him as a luxury, so hopefully everybody else will too as they go and watch him play.
Mike?
Yeah, for me, Trey Pinkert of Legacy. He's going to fool coaches just because there's so much talent on that roster that when they look down and they're like, wait, that says he's a 2027. That's going to happen multiple times, but he's going to look like he's just one of the veterans out there, just the way he plays. One of my favorite point guards in that class.
Lyndon?
Yeah, and I'm kind of going a little bit off the beaten path, but Kenji Franklin with Bastrop Cedar Creek. I mean, you got to at least check this kid out at the D1 level and especially D2 level because he's somebody who, just has the length. He can shoot. He can make plays in the open court. I think he's somebody, doesn't play for a traditional powerhouse program, but he's somebody who can have a huge weekend if he can get his shot to fall at a high clip.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll go with Josiah Williams, another one. Arlington Grace Prep. Tap in. There's a lot of upside here. He has a 6'10" wingspan. He's flying under the radar. He can knock down shots. He's got a lot of the recipe to make a big jump here.
When I was looking through the schedule here, I kind of TABC put a lot of great games from back to back to back to back at Hebron Court 1. And then obviously being their home court, Hebron will have games there. So then right now, Parker Bolden, he's a 2027, and I think that he has a chance to take over the team. As many seniors left, he's a guy that that has to do everything for them. He's going to be asked to score, asked to set the offense up, be a leader on the defensive end. So I think that he has a chance here to kind of solidify himself as a guy that you circle, you tuck away, and then you're coming back to him each and every year up until the time that it's his turn to be recruited.
Yeah, for me, Noah Hill, 2026 apace. I think college coaches are going to fall in love with his length, athleticism, and what he could be in 2 years when he gets to your campus. Just a freak athlete, is going to tear down the rim multiple times. He's just going to wow you with his length and athleticism is all I can really say. No doubt about it.
It's a good one. David Coe Jr., Dallas Kimball. He has a great body, great feel, strong, hold his line, makes plays for others, can fill up the stat sheet. And I think he's another one where I think he has a recipe for a breakout coming.
Yeah, and for me, as much as I'd love to put a 1A or 2A kid up here, I'm not going to do that to y'all. But I will advocate for Aiden White out of Burke Burnett.
Bucket.
If you have not seen a Burke Burnett basketball game, it is 100 miles an hour the entire game, and this kid is a shot maker amidst the chaos. And he's a 2026, so coaches, get your eyes on him early because I'm telling you, he's pure from his offensive game standpoint.
Antoine Allmutter and his twin brother Armand. I'll just mention both of them here. 2026 is Dallas Parish Episcopal guys that can go be productive on both ends of the court. We have them ranked in our 30 range there, and so they're fun to watch because they can feed off each other. They get everybody else involved. When it's time to dive on the floor, they dive on the floor, get rebounds. They'll bring the ball up in transition. They're kind of a jack of all trades that just about every college team needs. So, and a pair of guys right there, twins that need to be seen.
Yeah, for me, similar to the way you talked about Parker Bolden, Paxton Ivy, 2027. A lot of seniors left that Rockwall Heath team, but his shot making, his size, his IQ, I think this will be one of his breakout moments where he starts to take his game to the next level in that leadership role. but definitely one of the more polished 2027s when you're looking for a shooting guard to start getting your eyes on.
Blue, round us out here.
I know y'all mentioned it before, but Austin Brown. I mean, I think that we've seen him maybe go through some peaks and valleys, but now he's starting to really figure it out, and he's one of our favorites here. And he has just steadily just climbed up the rankings. And I think we can all sit here today and say that he has found his identity as this guy that's going to be a pick and pop, a skilled four-man, do a little bit of on the defensive end. He can get out on the perimeter, defend, he'll rebound, and he's just overall, he's a smart player. And I think that what I've seen the most is when he slows down the ball and slows down his game a little bit. That's when he's making the biggest impact.
Love it. Hey, that's going to do it for this edition of the GASO Cast, the TABC Primer. We appreciate you being here with us. If you see us at the TABC, give us a hi. We're going to be working, and we're going to be working for all players at all levels and pulling for you guys to compete and play well in front of these college coaches. So thanks for joining us here, and we will see you next time.